You saw this little advisory that meant you are way past your bedtime, but you're an adult now, right? Or at least I hope you are. Adult Swim went through a lot of recent changes and now launches Checkered Past. Being a generation of kids who snuck Adult Swim past our bedtimes, now being able to watch it without limits, Adult Swim grew up as well. So where do we begin?
Almost there. Reach for it, ladies. No peeking, Betty.
Adult Swim, the sister block, was born in 1994, after Cartoon Network's initial success launch. The name of the game was Adult Cartoons, and due to The Simpsons' rise on Fox, Adult Swim pursued adult cartoons to air after 11 p.m. Mike Lazo, the founder of Adult Swim, started off as a guy in the mailroom before working up in the Turner Broadcasting Company and founding Ghost Planet Industries, now known as William Street. Fun fact, that banging sound you hear comes from this production ident. The most manliest logo ever made. Toonami Midnight Run was actually a test subject before Adult Swim aired anime on the block. It found that a huge demographic of adults were tuning into a Toonami during the evening and late night hours. Mike, along with Jendi Tradavalsky, who was the creator of Dexter's Laboratory and the Powerpuff Girls, would then team up to make their first Ghost Planet Industries original, Space Ghost from Coast to Coast. Mike would then create C-Lab 2021, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and The Brak Show. The shows were semi-short-lived, but some lived on as mascots for certain parts of Cartoon Network, while Aqua Teen Hunger Force stayed a show for 10 years. At that time, Adult Swim wasn't even called Adult Swim. It went by Parental Block, Parental Warning, before making the name final due to the fact that it had more of an adult edge.
We don't care. Reverse psychology.
Betty Cohen, former CEO of Cartoon Network, would promote the block heavily, while the block itself, which was supposed to see a launch on April 1st, 2001, was delayed 5 months. However, San Diego Comic-Con would promote the upcoming shows and showing the pilots of Harvey Birdman and Leave It to Brak. While Access Hollywood advertised the shows, Adult Swim would launch on September 2nd of 2001. Mike would then acquire the license to Home Movies while it was being shelved by UPN. While Cowboy Bebop would be the first anime to launch on Adult Swim on February 23rd, and following that, Big O and Inuyasha, after Toonami's Midnight Run was canceled. Adult Swim was, and still kinda is, a rerun channel for a lot of adult cartoons that was shelved by other networks. However, it became the hub for them. Baby Blues, Mission Hill, The Oblongs, God, The Devil and Bob, and The Ripping Friends would rerun on the block but still hold the title for adult animation, second to Fox. Family Guy and Futurama would then get their licenses bought by Adult Swim on both January 12th and April 20th in the mid-2000s. Former president and CEO of Cartoon Network Jim Samples noted that Family Guy and Futurama became a cultural phenomenon as Fox would renew Family Guy for another couple of seasons, while Futurama would get moved to Comedy Central. Adult Swim would then look at Nielsen ratings and prove that the demographic of college young adults from 20 to 30 needed to be catered to a lot more. From there, they would advertise in 30 universities and would air an extra hour to 6 a.m. during 2005. During that time, Seth Green would come on to the Adult Swim scene to make Robot Chicken, which was first called Toy Fair Theater, and Seth MacFarlane would inspire Green to pitch the show to Lazo. At the same time, Aaron McGruder would come onto the scene with the controversial comic strip, The Boondocks. At the time, several networks rejected the pilot script, while Mike Lazo found it to be too networky. However, ordering Aaron to do a season with 15 episodes and to just create stories. And from there, Robot Chicken and The Boondocks would dominate the block during the mid-2000s.
Dozens of electronic devices placed all around the city to promote the Cartoon Network show Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Adult Swim would get into the movie business, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force: Movie for Theaters was the first movie to come to theaters from Adult Swim. The way that a few advertisers would promote the movie was to get light brights and create the Moonanite characters that would show in the series. These light brights were placed around every metropolitan city in America, from New York City to San Francisco, but Boston was the first one to panic about it. Boston police would panic over these promotions because some people thought that they were explosives. Now, stating this was after the 9/11 attacks in Columbine, where Americans were more fearful of safety and more vulnerable. Let's just take that into an account. Two men, Peter Berdowski and Sean Stevens were arrested for disorderly conduct and placing a device to incite a panic hoax. After this fiasco, Turner Broadcasting would pay $2 million for damages, while at the same time, Jim Samples would step down as Adult Swim president at that time.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
Oh, hi, Adult Swim.
Toonami, from its final broadcast, would see a hiatus from Cartoon Network. However, the demographic of people watching anime was still high and in demand. Young adults from the 90s with social media and nostalgia made it apparent to get on social media and tell Adult Swim that they wanted Toonami back, because that was Twitter during that time. And in 2012, The Room, which was aired while everyone's favorite anime chair-sitting robot was seen again. Adult Swim would do these April Fool's pranks as a way of promoting new shows, while Eric Andre was debuting the Eric Andre Show. At that time, the show was pitched to different networks but was dropped by many, and Eric was still working as a Geico caveman and shooting the Eric Andre Show from an abandoned bodega in Brooklyn, New York with Hannibal Buress. Mike Lazo would promote the show and give Eric creative freedom, while Eric Andre would do the video editing and shoot the show within a week period. While Eric was gaining traction, Adult Swim was looking for a brand new hit show coming from William Street. Dan Harmon, along with fired voice actor Justin Roiland, would create Rick and Morty by creating things that were out of the ordinary and shocking to viewers. Rick and Morty was made on the sly, and because Dan was fired from his last gig for being too shocking. As a result, Rick and Morty was a sketch before it was turned into a 7-season show. With the success and cult following of the Eric Andre Show, then came $1 Million Extreme with controversial influencer Sam Hyde in 2015.
I'm munching on red pills all day. I'm taking red pills left and right.
Because Sam was following the same formula as Eric as a post-apocalyptic sketch show, you would think it would work, right?
Wrong!
During 2016, Adult Swim would cancel the order of a second season due to Sam Hyde's questionable standings and tweets on social media. Adult Swim also accused him of racism, anti-Semitism, sexism, and bigotry. In 2018, all the 20th Century Animation would be kicked off of the block, and after 16 years, Family Guy was taken off the roster, as well as The Cleveland Show and King of the Hill, which you can see on FX, FXX, Freeform, and all of the Disney-owned networks. Can't feel bad for Fox.
When you were 11, you thought this was great. When times were simpler, and the internet didn't rule your life.
Adult Swim has been going through a lot of changes. Rick and Morty lost Justin Roiland and is looking for a new replacement. David Salzav merges Warner Bros. And Discovery together. Cartoon Network lineups are pretty dry, so that leaves Adult Swim to take over the 5 p.m. shift. And because Adult Swim is extended, the past cartoons decided to come back with a new block called Checkered Past. Ed, Edd and Eddy, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Dexter's Laboratory, and Courage the Cowardly Dog come back to the CN block after years of being off the air and their seasons ending respectfully. The CN city looks a lot different as well. While it has a grown-up look, the Eds are in the bad part of a city. Dexter and Dee Dee are at beaches, Billy takes in scenery, and Courage is in an Arctic outhouse, which is different from the Cartoon Network city that we grew up with. Adults that are nostalgic can watch the block or show their kids the shows that they grew up with, that or just use a streaming service because, well, it's not like you can't see them there. Adult animation proves that adults are just as interested in cartoons as kids are. Adult Swim is still able to relate to adults with the amount of adult cartoons it has produced and licensed over the years. Those who grew up in the 90s with the after-school and weekend programming still reminisce and seek it out to the blocks as well. Adult Swim has been able to deliver time and time again with making adults feel like kids again, but also deliver satire to adults that they can well relate to. However, there is one problem. With adult cartoons comes touchy subjects, edgy humor, and network censors. And while Adult Swim does have an advisory on the block, that does not mean that censors and FCC are not watching. The Boondocks proved that not everything could be talked about or be well reciprocated. Family Guy and Futurama having certain episodes proved that Adult Swim was very scared of taking risk with certain episodes. Sam Hyde proved that Adult Swim would also not be okay with being aligned with certain political affiliations. So as an adult block, still comes certain territories to having advertisers not wanting to do business with you. With the original content from William Street, timeless shows like Robot Chicken, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, The Brak Show, Eric Andre are still going strong. As Adult Swim expands to earlier blocks, it is interesting to see, however brings up a question. Is the whole Cartoon Network running out of ideas for Adult Swim to come on earlier to pick up the slack? Whether you grew up with cartoons or snuck downstairs to watch Adult Swim, the Black has evolved with us. The only question now is, well, what next? Also, is the earlier time slot airing nostalgic cartoons a signal that Adult Swim could eventually be taking over the Cartoon Network or face the same fate as its sister Black? That we will see in the future.